for quite some years, I experienced a feeling inside of my body that was often expressed outwardly in quite uncomfortable ways of not being good enough, and that I was always living in eternal sin, and that my life was never good enough. I was never going to be good enough. As a therapist, I probably hear this in my clients more than any other statement, really. And I recognize this mutual experience where humans just seem to not believe and understand deeply that they are good enough just as they are. For me, I want to talk about my story with this, in the hope that maybe it might connect with some of you, and that maybe some resonance, and maybe this just might help by me sharing some of my own story. So for me, the feeling, the sensation, the deeper knowing that I'm not good enough, I'm always going to be a sinner, it came from my Christianity, from my Christian upbringing. I want to be really clear before I start to really acknowledge that there's an awful lot about being raised in Christianity that was beautiful, was empowering, was and still is something I'm grateful for. And I also need to acknowledge that speaking about Christianity, when the majority of my family still practice and live by that lifestyle, is vulnerable, and it feels scary to be sharing my truth and my story because it's different to theirs. But deeply I believe that I cannot hide or limit or control my truth, and that it's only by listening to other people who have taken the risk to speak up about their own story that I've been able to grow more confidence in sharing mine. So my hope is that this evolution of my speaking up will in some way help the world around me to do the same. So, I was raised in a Christian family, a Christian community, and church life. It was a really strong part of everyday life. Through that, I grew up believing that there was, let me experience it like this, there was a Christmas tree full of gifts underneath the Christmas tree. And the Christmas tree was Christianity, and underneath the Christmas tree was all of these beautifully wrapped gifts. And these beautifully wrapped gifts were passed to me to unwrap and then own myself. And they were gifts of grace, love, kindness, generosity, forgiveness, and so forth. And as I was able to unwrap these gifts and possess these gifts myself, I was then in a position to be able to expand that gift giving to others and help others find their gifts and unwrap them. And these gifts looked like gifts, and they felt like gifts, and they felt beautiful. They felt like that I was taking in something deeply powerful and spiritual and connected and for me. And offering them out felt like a life calling. It felt like a duty that I really wanted to do, to partake in. But years and years of life living and questioning and having my own experiences started in me a questioning down a path that was always forbidden. It was never encouraged. It was never really allowed. But I took the path down that road and I questioned. And what I found lying amongst those gifts, very subtly and very quietly lying there underneath, was the gremlin who's giving the gifts. And actually that gremlin, there are two gremlins that live underneath the Christmas tree, passing out the gifts. There is the gremlin of fear and the gremlin of control. Subtle. And I don't like to admit it. I don't want to look at that, because the people handing me out these gifts are beautiful people. Experiencing these gifts is beautiful. Offering these gifts is beautiful. So I don't want to acknowledge those gremlins. I don't want to acknowledge that deeper present giver of fear and control. That's painful for me. That underpins everything I know. So I don't want to look at that. And this is the twist and the turns and the tumbles that was years of my wrangling, my questioning, my dipping in, dipping out. Roll on my ability to look and to stay looking and to stay questioning and to hold those gremlins in my hand and to discuss with them. What if? So what? What's going on here? I want to know. I need to know. I want to take the goodness of the gifts, and I don't want to keep them underneath that tree. I want to embody this naturally, not as a gift given to me, but actually it's something I already possess. It's something that I already am. It's something that I actually embody. So the years of questioning and wrangling have brought me to where I am. And where I am is here. This cellular memory in my body that I'm not good enough is bullshit. It is from those gifts over so many years that subtly gave me the message that I am a sinner and my sins need cleansing and my sins need forgiving, and there is only one way to do that. And that one way isn't necessarily final and definitive and absolute. And so I've got to keep on coming back to this place of asking for forgiveness and seeking that cleansing. Now, of course, it's a wonderful practice to be responsible for yourself. It's a vitally life-giving practice to own ourselves, to stand up to our own bullshit, to own our actions, to take responsibility. But do I need to keep coming to an external place to ask for forgiveness for who I am, for the mistakes I make? And are my mistakes mistakes? Who assesses that? Whose judgment is that? I was led to believe for many years that my sexuality was something to be forgiven and to be cleansed, and that my very beautiful and natural desires and feelings and stirrings and urges were wrong, were sinful, and that my very natural animalistic growing nature was to be clipped and cut and changed and squished and squashed and squeezed into a box that didn't belong to me. And my sexuality and my sensuality was shamed. It wasn't safe. I couldn't live freely. So when I did, I totally lived with the feeling of doing wrong. I'm doing wrong. I'm being naughty. I'm rebelling. I'm the black sheep. I'm the rebel. I'm dirty. I'm the slut. I'm the whore. I. And actually, no. I was beautiful and inquiring and questioning and exploring and finding myself. I was learning and growing and evolving into a beautiful, fully embodied woman. But I believed that I was wrong. I believed that my very innocent and natural inquiries were sinful and dirty and shameful. And I had to hide because my strength of desperation to explore myself was stronger than the feeling of being shit. So I learned how to hide and feel shit in one go. I don't want that for my kids. Those gifts under that Christmas tree aren't serving me now. And so actually I chose a hard road of questioning. And when I now look at Christian women around me, I want to weep. I do weep. I cry for all of what I see, of what I feel, what I notice, of the inability for freedom within them. And when I look at Christian men, I weep for all the freedom and possibility that is lacking within them. Now I know that that's my judgment. That comes from my own personal belief system. It comes from my own personal life experience. It comes from what I now know to be my truth. The damage that was caused to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people with the most important life force that there is, our sexual energy, our sexual health, our sexual exploration and inquiry and pleasure and enjoyment of, and I'm not just talking about intercourse here, I'm talking about how we parent, how we enjoy food, how we enjoy clothing, how we enjoy walking and nature and breath and air and movement. This is through our sexual centres. This is through our eros. And how we have been robbed of that for years and years and generations because of this Christmas tree of gifts given by the gremlins of fear and control. How that has robbed us as a human race of this unbelievable gift of sexuality. I have a mission, and I'm scared to even tell you. But my mission is to work with Christian men and Christian women who are already questioning, who have felt limited in their sensuality, who don't know how to express themselves sexually. People who fear sex. People who are not enjoying their sex life. It doesn't feel that this is it. Who don't know how to touch their own body. Who don't know how to really deeply explore another. Who feel that there is something more. I'm not going to ask you to give up your Christian faith. I don't necessarily believe that that's necessary. But what I do know, and I know, that you can evolve as a much deeper and richer and fuller human being within your expression of the Christian faith as a more embodied sexual animal, sexual human, that can be well within your beautiful, monogamous, safe Christian lifestyle, but be much freer and healed from this repressive box of lies that has been fed to you for years and years. I know many Christians that are healing from this now, and they want to remain in the Christian faith. They believe what they believe, but they know that the line of sexuality and what has been fed to them was wrong. Let's not be frightened of this conversation. Let's not sweep this under the carpet anymore. I'm sick of it. I see the effects of it every single day, everywhere. Everywhere. Now this will frighten you, as it once frightened me. And if it does, then let's move with that. This might excite you, let's move with that. But don't sweep this under the carpet anymore. This has to change. Whether you remain in your faith or not is not in question. Questioning, what does it look like for me to be an embodied, well, sexual woman? What is it for me to be a well embodied sexual man? Whatever relationship style you're in, whether you're single or in a long-term relationship, you're newly dating or you're just freshly married. The stories that I hear, including my own, of Christian newlyweds with their sexual journey is deeply painful. This has to stop. This can change. It is so pleasurable and enjoyable and healthy and beautiful and sacred. And sacred. And I've come to know that my spirituality is so rooted in my sexuality that I am not sure I believe that you can deeply birth as a Christian or as any other faith statement until you understand this connection between you and your sexuality, your sacred sexuality. And when you really start to put that key in that door and you turn it, a whole new experience of spirituality will come. So please, get in touch. Come and work with us. Let's unpick the most vulnerable, beautiful, powerful, therapeutic journey that there is. I've been there. My husband's been there. Friends have been there. Clients have been there. I have seen things that I never believed possible in my own life and in others around me. And I want this for you. So if this resonates, get in touch. I know exactly how to take your hand and safely walk this path together.